Man, it was a great year for horror, and this list was extremely hard to make. But here are my top 10 horror movies of 2024. Let's go. Kicking us off at number 10, we have Speak No Evil with James McAvoy. Now, going into this movie, all I knew was it was a Blumhouse film, and my buddy said that this was actually a remake from a movie that came out, I think, a year or two ago. And I'm not going to give too much away, but basically James McAvoy and his family invites another family who's vacationing back to their home on the countryside. And a bunch of weird stuff starts happening. Avoid the trailers. Coming in at number 9, we have Late Night with the Devil. Now, I love the Paranormal Activity series and Barbarian, so when I seen that this movie was coming out, I was so stoked. And this movie is about a late night talk show that's kind of going down in the ratings when they find out that a girl has been possessed by the devil. So what do? They bring her on stage and whatnot, and it just goes from there. And what I loved most about this movie was obviously the horror elements, but it made you feel like you were on a 60s late night talk show. It's a bit of a slow burn, but definitely pays off. At number 8, we have Sydney Sweeney in Immaculate, which is basically another religious horror film. Sweeney's character moves to the countryside to become a nun because she has paid for her sins and she wants to rejoice. And I'm all for religious horror. You've probably seen this movie 5 million times before, but this one works. It's well acted, it's beautifully shot, definitely gory in some scenes, and that ending scene, whoo, you ain't ready. At number 7, I had to throw my boy Art the Clown on here in Terrifier 3, one of my most anticipated horror films of 2024. And if you are a fan of this franchise, you don't go into this movie expecting it to be the best movie known to man. You go into this movie for Art the freaking Clown, how crazy it's gonna be, and what he's gonna come up with. And that's exactly what we got, and I was so happy about it. Just when you think that it can't get any more gorier or the kills can't get any more over the top, you're extremely wrong. I had to put this in my top 10 because I love the first 2 Terrifier films. Damon Leone, what he's done with Art the Clown in this series is fantastic. Everything that he does with the practical effects, he does himself basically. And I'm so stoked, and I cannot put into words. If they make a 4th one, I might freaking cry. At number 6, we have The Substance, and I'm going to tell you straight up, I had no idea what this movie was about. Didn't even know this movie existed until my one friend said that he's seen it, and he said that I should check it out. He didn't explain anything to me, and thank God that I didn't get anything from him because this movie was wicked. One of the best body horror films that you're ever going to see. Demi Moore should definitely get nominated for Best Actress. Margaret Qualley, oh my God, she was fantastic as well. And I'm not going to tell you a lot about the movie. All you need to know is Demi Moore's character is a successful businesswoman in the extreme fitness era on TV, but she's getting a little older. She wants to look a little younger. This huge fitness empire that she built from the ground up is coming to a close when she finds out that a lot of people aren't finding her attractive like they used to back in the day when she was younger. And here's where The Substance comes in. Now, I know this sits number 6 on my list, but trust me, out of all of these movies, see this one, don't watch anything about it, and let me know what you think, because it's going to be one of the craziest things that you probably see in your entire life. Breaking into the top 5, we have Smile 2. Now, I went into this movie not expecting much. It's definitely a sequel. I feel like we didn't need to have a sequel of this movie, but of course, studios and money, they see how much the first one does, so they're like, let's make a second one. And just like the first one, I went into this movie not expecting much, and boy, was I wrong. It's the same premise as the first one, in which the smile curse finds you, it latches onto you, you have to get rid of it onto somebody else, and then within 7 days or whatnot, if you don't do that, you end up unaliving yourself. And I was pleasantly surprised with how gory it was, actually. And in my opinion, this was a series that they could have just did a one and done with this movie and never made a sequel, but this one definitely works. Coming in at number 4, we have another religious-based movie, Ertic. And let me tell you, if Hugh Grant does not get nominated for Best Actor, I don't think he'll win, but if he doesn't get a nomination for this role, I'm gonna freaking lose my mind. 2 young church girls start knocking on people's doors, trying to convert them into the life of Christianity when they stumble upon Hugh Grant's house. And what does he do? He invites them in, he lets them talk, see what they're all about. But he also has a lot of questions himself. Why are the things the way they are? Why is this that way? Why is that way, etc.? Making those girls defend their religion and trying to question the why. And it works. We're not getting a lot of locations in this movie. Specifically, it only takes place in Hugh Grant's house. I love this movie, and it definitely would be higher on my list if these last 3 movies did not come out this year. At number 3, we got Alien Romulus. I'm a huge Alien fan, have been since I was a little kid. And when I found out that Fede Alvarez, who made Evil Dead, is making this movie, I was super stoked about it. Now, this movie takes place between Alien and Alien, so technically this is Alien 1.5. And it's basically like all the other Alien movies, but this one definitely works. A bunch of people see an SOS from a ship that's in the sky. Obviously, it's deserted. They go and check it out to somehow bring some type of freedom to the planet that they're on so they can go out into the world. And we have our Alien movie. Now, if you are a fan of the Alien lore, you're going to know a lot more about this movie, certain things that they do or certain characters that they bring in that you're like, oh, hey, they're from this movie or whatnot. It helps going into this movie, knowing a little bit more of that, but you can just look that up on Google if you want. I would still go see it. And they brought back the practical effects of the aliens. Oh my God, so stoked. I wanted to put Nosferatu at number 1 so bad, but just couldn't. If this film doesn't win Best Director, Best Cinematography, Best Practical Effects, I'm literally done with the Oscars. Robert Eggers' shadow work in this movie is so top tier, I wanted to cry. Bill Skarsgård as Nosferatu, I tried to look for him, just like how I did with Pennywise. I could see a little bit of him in Pennywise, but this, I couldn't see him at all. And that voice, oh, bone chilling. Lily Rose Depp, I think she literally Steph Curry'd it. I think she has it in the bag for Best Actress of the Year. And Nicholas Hoult should win Best Supporting Actor of the Year as well. Eggers literally proved to me that he is one of the best directors working today and is probably one of the best horror directors of all time. So creepy, beautifully shot. The shadow work in this movie was top tier. Bill Skarsgård's voice. When I left the theater, I felt like it was on the back of my neck. I had chills the whole time. And at the end of the day, I really feel like this is a love story, not a horror movie, if that makes sense. And get over the mustache. It's historically accurate, okay? But at number 1, I had to go Longlegs. This movie was fantastic. I literally had no idea what this movie was about. Every single trailer that came out, I was more and more confused. And that's what I like most about it. And don't get me started on Nicolas Cage. I loved how they didn't put him in any of the trailers besides maybe the last trailer, but you don't even get to see what he looks like. And to be honest, if you wouldn't have told me that was Nicolas Cage, I would have never even known it was Nicolas Cage. A young detective just trying to make her way, gets one of the biggest cases that she's ever going to work on in her life. And the more and more she digs into the case, she starts to realize that they have more in common than she thinks. I love these kind of psychological horror films, Seven, Silence of the Lambs, and this one definitely is up there. So don't go into this movie expecting a lot of blood and gore and whatnot. This is more of a crime movie with horror elements, if that makes sense. I had a blast with this film, and I'm so glad that I went in blind, basically, because trailers nowadays, they just show way too much of the movie, and you go into, especially horror films, you go in and you know exactly what you're going to get, or this is going to happen here, or that's going to happen here, because the trailer literally puts the whole movie inside of the trailer. You know what I mean? This movie was well acted, beautifully shot. Just like Nosferatu, the score in this movie just makes the hairs on your neck stand up. Then come on, it's Nick Cage. And guys, those are my top 10 horror movies of 2024. Let me know in the comments what your favorite horror movie of 2024 was and what you're looking forward to in 2025.